Hello, everyone. My project focuses on the modernization of the provider pre-screening workflow within the WebAuthor system for the Early Learning Coalition. In this presentation, I'll explain how I translated my WBS into a realistic project schedule using task sequencing, predecessors, relationships, and milestone planning. This project is based within the Early Learning Coalition in the early childhood education and provider contracting industry. The project initiative focused on modernizing provider pre-screening workflows within WebAuthor to improve efficiency and consistency during onboarding and contracting. The main objectives were to reduce manual processing, improve compliance verification, and standardize provider onboarding workflows. I then selected a 6-month timeline because it provides enough time for planning, development, testing, and implementation in a realistic way. To build the schedule, I used the work breakdown structure from the previous assignment as my foundation. I translated major deliverables into scheduled tasks and organized them into 3 phases: initiation and requirements, system design and development, and testing, training, and deployment. I also used predecessor relationships, so activities followed a logical workflow and included milestones to monitor major approvals and implementation progress. The work breakdown structure served as a framework for the project schedule. The major deliverables included project planning and requirements, WebAuthor pre-screening configuration and testing, training, and implementation. Each deliverable area was later broken down into actionable tasks within Smartsheet to create a realistic execution timeline. This slideshow shows the full project schedule developed in Smartsheet using a Gantt chart format. The schedule includes over 20 tasks aligned directly to the WBS and is organized into 3 major phases. Tasks were scheduled over a 6-month timeline and include predecessor relationships to ensure activities happen in a logical order. Milestones were also included to represent major approval points and implementation progress. Task sequencing and dependency logic. The predecessor relationships were used to create realistic task sequencing throughout the project. For example, requirements gathering begins only after stakeholder identification, and system configuration cannot begin until the requirements are finalized and approved. Testing occurs after development is completed, while training and development begins after testing approval. These dependencies help prevent workflow overlap, improve sequencing, and reduce implementation risk. 3 major milestones were included in the schedule. The first milestone, executive scope approval, confirms that project requirements and directions are approved. The second milestone, development complete, marks when the WebAuthor configuration is ready for testing. Finally, the full system implementation represents official deployment of the pre-screening solution. These milestones help track major deliverables, decision points, and executive oversight throughout the project. As far as AI usage, ChatGPT was used to assist with drafting, schedule structure, task sequencing, predecessor logic, and milestone recommendations. However, the outputs were reviewed and refined to better reflect realistic organizational workflows. I validated the schedule by comparing it to my work breakdown structure, reviewing logical task flow, and ensuring milestones align with implementation goals. Scheduling principles such as logic sequencing, dependency management, and milestone tracking guided the final schedule. And that would be all for today. Thank you for your time. This project demonstrated how a WBS can be translated into a realistic project schedule